So we're back for part two.
Yeah, that was kind of awkward. We were so into the conversation that we forgot to look at the time, and then
Yeah, I think you could hear it a little bit. I tried getting your attention, but like, I didn't want to fully interrupt because I liked a lot of what you were saying. But that's on us. We gotta pay more attention to the time.
Anyways, let's just move on to the next song because I don't even remember what I was saying.
Yeah, the world will never know. We got the next song, number 4 on the album, "Trouble." What do you think of this song, Gio?
I really like. It was gonna be. I'm gonna try to my best to recreate, not vocally because I can't sing for the life of me. But during the parts where they kind of say like something like, "ini uri" or something like that. I really like the vocal melody that they used, and that's like my biggest thing with K-pop. I like the melodies that they use while singing and how they just kind of like create their own, I guess, scales in a sense. And that just kind of adds to the song, and I really love that part of it. Every time I repeat it, at first it's GQ, and then I know for sure that Sana does it too. And it's just, I don't know, it just sounds, it's very pleasing to me. And for like the rest of the song, it kind of reminds me of their Taste of Love mini album. What was that song? Is it Conversation? I think it's Conversation. It kind of has like, I don't know, it's giving me like the same vibe when they get to like the trouble part. And I really liked it.
Yeah, I really like this song too. After this, I definitely need to give a re-listen to it just to kind of see what I was getting at. But like one of the notes I wrote was like it had like a one of the notes I wrote was like I said like it had like an EDM feel to it, and I think it's because of just how like upbeat it was. It was definitely a lot of the transitions on the song. I especially remember I really enjoyed on here, and I definitely just like the like upbeatness to it. The tempo of it was like really good and all that, and this is so funny considering our last episode and what we were covering. I actually don't remember writing this, but one of the notes I wrote on the song was, "I'm so glad high school me didn't have this song." And like I'm rereading through the lyrics to try and figure out what exactly I was meaning. It's like some of them I could understand, but I think overall it was just talking about the general. I think it was me making a joke at the general nature of being a simp in high school. But yeah, I definitely love this song.
Yeah, I think I could hear like the whole EDM part because I was listening to it just now while you were talking, and like some of the instruments that they used sounded very like EDM like, and I guess that's why you got that impression of it. But yeah, it's very like, I like how it kind of like it starts off slow and then it gets to like it gets very like upbeat and it stays like that for a long time, and then when GQ says like the trouble, and like it slows down and then it kind of like resets and starts again. I really like that aspect of the song.
Yeah, this was definitely like I don't know how to put it. Like again, it was just very upbeat and definitely like a song that I think a lot of people would enjoy, especially like dancing to in a sense.
Yeah, this yeah, that's like a perfect description of it. It's like it's a very, I don't know, like if you want to move around, I guess like in the shower because that's when I do it. I guess that's TMI. But, I don't know about you, but like when I'm like in the shower and I put like my music, it's usually K-pop, and like a banger comes on, I just start. Oh, dude, this is very embarrassing. Why did I mention this? God, yeah, I started like dancing and stuff, right? Dude, this is so embarrassing. Jack, say something.
This is the song you hit the Bobby Shmurda dance to.
Yeah, dude, someone should make that edit. That would be hilarious. I'm gonna do that after this.
Dude, that's one of the notes I wrote. I was like, I'm gonna be hitting the Bobby Shmurda dance to this song, and it's like, You know what? Maybe I'll try it out later tonight when I go take a shower. My dad and my mom are gonna go pick up my brother from work. The house will be empty. I'll bring the speaker in and start playing it and see if I hit the Bobby Shmurda dance. See how
What's
well it
that
goes
new?
with it.
What's that new dance that's coming out? What's it called? The Diddy or something?
Oh, the gritty.
Yeah, the Gritty.
Start hitting the gritty. Start getting sturdy to this song.
Dude, I saw a clip on Twitter of a 3-year-old doing that, and I was like, "What is the world turning into?"
We're waiting for the day that one of the K-pop stars hits the gritty on stage. Someone needs to start teaching them about the American dance to see if they can get sturdy. Oh, but yeah, definitely a fun song. Definitely, one of the upbeat, dancey type ones.
Yeah, this is a very feels good.
I think, in comparison, again, I love the song. So it's like, don't look at it as me, downplaying the song or like, putting it down. But like, I think this one might get a more positive reaction out of people compared to the last song, Basics. I love it because I've gotten more into K-pop, but like as a first introduction, if you're like trying to change their perspective and trying to show them, again, like it's not talking down it, but like I don't like, again, like how we saw with our friend, I don't think that's the best song for them to experience first. But like this one, because of its like EDM nature, because of its dance type nature, I think this is one that like, especially it's like, I don't know if it's just me, because like I know Don brought it up on our K-pop episode about, oh, like he was struggling to imagine like a situation he'd listen to like a song, and like to me it's like I feel like this is one that you can throw on in like a party or like a club or whatever, and like people would like it because of the overall sound to it, and they wouldn't really be focused on the fact that, is this a K-pop song? No, they'd be more focused on just like the up-tempo-ness of it, and the overall sound that like really makes it sound really good, and EDM like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just thought of a great idea because you mentioned something, and it just like instantly clicked in my brain. We should actually we should talk to Jose about it, because that's such a great episode. Giving him like a playlist of songs and see if we could change his perspective on K-pop.
You could even turn that into a whole series if we're being honest.
Dude, that sounds like such a great idea to do. And to what you were saying, yeah, to Trouble is like the perfect example. And like another thing, like, do you remember in like the high school dances that we had? Like someone, I wasn't there because I left by then, but so apparently someone started requested BTS songs.
Oh no!
And I feel like someone said it was like depressing or whatever, but like if you turn this into like one of those like club remixes, you have a banger.
Yeah, definitely. This is definitely a real good one. Moving on to our next song. This is one I'm excited to talk about. This is one of my favorites off the album. The fifth song off the album, Brave. What'd you think about it, Gio?
Dude, it's just, I don't know what it is, because it's a mini album, so it's very short. But they were able to just kind of, when you listen to when you go from Queen of Hearts, you're like, okay, hit, what can they do better? And then you listen to Basics, and they did better. And then you listen to Trouble, and they kept doing better. And then after Trouble, you're like, how much better could it get? And then you listen to Brave, and you're just like completely dumbfounded how they're able to do so much with just 7 songs.
Yeah.
Dude, Brave is so good. It's like one of the if I had to say, like, Brave is one of the highlights of the mini album.
Yeah, like obviously all previous 4 songs were really good and obviously had something to them, but Brave was definitely one of my favorites lyrically and thematically on the album, because it's not how would you put it, it's not me deducting anything from deducting any type of points or ratings from the previous 4 songs, because I've been talking nothing but positive about them. But the one thing I love about Brave so much is that they started adding like a real good amount of like substance to this song, you know, because like obviously there was a lot of substance in Queen of Hearts, but you know like Talk That Talk and Basics, and even Trouble to an extent, like they talk about some stuff. There's real good lyrics on there, obviously, but like you know, especially like Talk That Talk and Basics are more of like you know, they definitely seem like the singles. Like if you were like if you compare it to like American music where an artist like releases a couple of singles to like hype up the album. Sometimes it's not to say that all singles don't have like lyrical meaning to them in a way, but like you know for the most part it's to get people excited, it's to get people talking, and sometimes you know they're just kind of what's the way to put it without like making it sound like I'm talking down on the song. It's like they're good songs, especially Talk That Talk and Basics, but there's not much to them lyrically, I would say, in the sense of there is to like Brave. Like there's a lot of lyrics that I see on Brave, and like looking into like the meaning of the song that I just love so much. Like obviously again there's meaning to the other previous four songs, but this was like my favorite like lyrically because there was just like a ton of lyrics in it that I was just like wow, they're kind of getting like into the like they're getting real deep into what they're talking on this track, you know, like there's so many lyrics that I'm just like wow, that's some real good and also like deep stuff. Like to kind of make my point make sense here, one of my favorite lyrics was rain that fell on my heart that never healed from deeper wounds. Like I really loved that line because it sends a lot of it has a lot of emotional weight behind it, and at the same
And just
time
like the imagery you got from it.
yeah, and you know a lot of like the other lyrics on here like are just like real good. Like I'm pretty sure at the start of the song, let me go back and see. One of the lyrics is I think it's like in a world where I was afraid of an exceptionally dark night, I felt so lonely, or like something along those lines, you know, because obviously with it only being a couple of days, people are still trying to perfect the translations, but like that was a real good line as well to like to get like real good imagery out of, and the chorus also kind of sends like a similar message to me of like you know because it talks about you know like the main lyric is brave for you, you know, and it also like it sends a message of like you know that connection of love with a person that like you can't like because like there's a literally a lyric that says I can't live without you, so like it connects that, but I think also the chorus part of brave for you kind of connects it to like this thing of like many times especially in like a relationship and in love you despite all these things that you may feel and all that you know like you may not be a perfectly healed person, as I mentioned with the line before. You may feel lonely at times, but like with this other person they kind of instill it like they instill in a way in your life that bravery to like continue going for them in a sense, you know, and that's why it kind of says like I can't live without you because it's like you're able to just kind of push through because of them at times, you know, if that makes sense. Because I think there's even a line, I think it's in Momo's part, she says like you make me who I am or something like that, and it's just like it kind of ties into that where it's like you know you're two parts and with that other part you're kind of complete in a sense, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I like I said this song was just really one of my favorites like lyrically because there was just so much to get into, and sonically you know it was still a very great song I loved as well.
I really like during the chorus, just the I don't know, like the first chorus with Niall is just I don't know, it's kind of like it's breathtaking. Like the other like the members that sing like the next choruses, they also did a very good job. There's just something about Niall's voice, just kind of I don't know, just made it so it made it feel like water. And I don't know, it's like it's weird because like when it comes to Twice, you can't. I don't know. I get into like this very like simpy mood because I don't know. I love Twice, so like whenever like I'm just gonna compare their voice to like the most random of things just to make it more grandiose and whatever. It literally feels like water. Like what is that? I don't know.
It's because they're so fluid with their vocals.
Yeah, dude, exactly. That's what I meant. Anyways, to go to like to talk about what you were saying about how like the other songs weren't as like complex when it comes to like the lyrics and like the message. It was just kind of like a very straightforward song or songs. And like a good comparison, I guess you could say, is kind of like with the Icon music that we reviewed last week, I think. Like some of their music is very like lyrically heavy that made us feel a certain way, but then other songs on that same album were just kind of like play.
Yeah.
Not play like in bad, just like play as in there's not much to talk about in a way.
Yeah.
But then that also makes it's difficult because you can't say what you want to say without making it seem like without making it seem like the other stuff isn't as good when it is good, but it just didn't have the same level of it didn't have the same kind of substance as Brave has.
Tie it back to episode 1. Each song has a role, you know. So I mean, well, no, actually, no, that doesn't make sense because sometimes, you know, let me think of how I say it. They some songs fill their role correctly in being, you know, a straightforward song, like, you know, like comparing it to like the American side of music, you know, think about it how like certain artists, you don't expect certain artists to get like, you don't expect to get like some lyrical gem out of certain artists. You just expect like, you know, a hit from them, you know, something that you can throw on anywhere, you know. Like you wouldn't go and this is again, it's not a knock against artists and trying to say that they aren't how would you put it, oh my gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? Like they aren't not experimental, but like, or like, this is not the word I'm looking for, but like, you know, like it's not to say that their content isn't diverse, you know, but like, you know, it's just certain artists have specialties, you know, and it's like obviously this artist can provide such hits, but for the most part you don't go to an artist like Kendrick Lamar expecting, you know, music you can play in a club, you know. Like there's certain songs that are like that, so it's like comparing it like with the Twice stuff. It's like a lot of the previous songs I wasn't expecting them to be, you know, like lyrical masterpieces. You know, that's not the expectation I have for them. Like, obviously, I didn't have any expectations, but like once I've already listened to it like once, I'm not gonna complain that they didn't talk about the political and economic state of the world on this song. You know, it's like, no, it's a fun song for a reason, and then you get a song like Brave where when you look into it, it's like, hey, it serves kind of a dual purpose. It sounds really good, and you know, it sounds again like a K-pop song, but you know, obviously to me, I know what K-pop sounds like more in a diverse setting. But you know, it also fulfills its role of being like lyrically good. Like there's songs for different settings, and you know, that's what makes sometimes an album really good, is having those songs for different settings while also still sounding like a complete work, you know, like a complete no, wait, dang it, I worded that wrong. Like it sounds like it doesn't sound like they don't fit together in a way, you know, like when they're all together they serve different meanings, but that doesn't mean that they don't connect in a way, you know. Because I think we brought it up like how with certain albums, you know, it's like especially like in the American side where you get those fillers, but also like they don't really know how to properly arrange an album, you know. Like there are many times where an artist just kind of continues this streak of like you know, like sometimes on an album there will be a streak of, it's like, okay, there's all these songs that kind of fill the same purpose. Can we switch it up to get like a break in between them, you know? Like if you like a good example is like if the album starts off with like 2 songs that are just in your face type hits that are like upbeat and all that, and then next thing you know, the next like 3-4 songs are all slow piano solo type songs, it's like you're gonna be thrown off, because like how do we start the album off with the most upbeat sounds, and then like right there smack in the middle we just get this like it grinds it straight to a halt type thing, you know?
Yeah, I think you said so much, but I think the point, well, dude, that's like something you said clicked with me. It was something to do with like every like the whole like when we were talking about Kanye's album last week, it was kind of like some of the songs you could tell had a purpose to it, like what's like Power and Devil in a Red Dress. What's it called?
The Devil in a New Dress.
Yeah, like those two songs, you could clearly tell they had a purpose in that album. But then, like some of the songs, well, at least to me, I failed to see the purpose of the song. It just felt like filler, and they were just added there to like kind of make up more space. That's how it felt to me. But when you look at Twice's album, I know it's completely different because they're two separate genres and like they're very, very like different to each other. But even if like with what's their previous album? What was it called?
Are you talking about
Formula of Love?
Yeah.
Formula of Love. Yeah. When you look at Formula of Love, that had a lot of songs in it, but the same thing kind of applied. Not every song is a hit, but it has its purpose for that album. And then you look at this mini album, which is a lot shorter because it's a mini album, obviously. Every song has its purpose, and every song perfectly did what it's meant to do. And I guess the overall point that we're saying is because the other songs weren't as lyrically complex as Brave, I don't know if that's like the proper way to put it, because I don't know how complex Brave is. They were still great songs and they did their purpose perfectly. But Brave just kind of had its own. What are we doing here, bro? Because I don't. Like, we're digging the grave and we're trying to like stop digging the grave, but we're just digging the grave even more by repeating the same thing that we said before in a different way, but it still sounds the same. I think we should just.
Basically, Brave is a great lyrical song, and that doesn't take away from the previous 4 songs being great on their own right and their own way.
I think it took us 20 minutes to get to that point.
Basically, yeah. But one thing I want to add, because it adds into, as we get into the final 2 songs of the album, what's it called? I talked about, songs not being able to piece themselves, or albums being able to piece themselves together well, and like not being able to transition properly from song to song. I think what I love most about this album, and only now talking about it, it made me realize, is that the Brave and the next song are still kind of following the tempo of the previous 4, but also in a sense they start slowing down a bit and they start getting more like lyrical as a way to prepare you for the final song, because the final song is really where it's at lyrically. Big
brain. But I feel like not a lot of people talk about arrangements in K-pop of K-pop albums, and I don't know. It's kind of like, I guess, like the whole concept of arrangement and its importance is lost on literally like I don't know, like a high percentage, like maybe 90% of K-pop stans. It's lost, but arrangement is very important in an album, and I'm really glad that you pointed it out because it makes so much sense, and it literally, I don't know, it feels like a big brain moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so the next song, Gone, the sixth song off the album. Again, it's very lyrical in its own way. It's another one of my favorites lyrically, but it still has sort of like that upbeat tempo. And to like bring up certain lyrics that I really enjoyed from it, because again, I enjoyed it lyrically as well as Brave was I think it was a part of either the chorus or the pre-chorus, if I remember correctly. One of the lyrics is, I see the lies on the tip of your tongue, all of my faith in you disappears like a fog. Like, I thought that was really good, like, not only a good lyric, but that's like really good, like, imagery and wordplay, I think, if that's the correct word I want to go with, like, it was just a really, like, good way of describing that, like, emotion that they're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Dude, how surprised were you when you went from Brave to like the strings and like the first few seconds of Gone into like GQ's deep voice? I was very surprised.
Yeah, that caught me off guard as well, because I usually, like I mentioned, I started getting better at like recognizing like certain members and all that, and like that caught me off guard, because like I usually can tell the voices, but that really got me. I was, especially coming off of their performance on Brave, it was like that really caught me off guard.
Mm. It's definitely a change of pace, but in a good way.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it's like you're going from Brave onto like how you were saying, like how like it's kind of like the same tempo, like the strings and like the background instrument are still on the same tempo or close to the same tempo as Brave and the previous songs, but vocally they slow down a lot compared to the last songs, and that dude, what am I saying? It basically reinforces what you were saying because it you could really like that change is noticeable, but it doesn't hurt the album.
Yeah, it wasn't like basically going back to that huge rant we were doing on the last song. It it doesn't do like what I described. Where these last three songs, like I mentioned, they're kind of like a slower pace, but it's not in a way noticeable as what I was describing last. Where it's like you go from all these upbeat songs to a halt. Like it didn't straight up halt, and you got these really slow songs. It was like they still found a way to keep that like upbeat tempo of the previous four songs while still slowing it down a bit in a way that you're able to recognize that like there was a shift in like tone and like the pacings of the song, and even like vocally there was just this shift that really added to the whole meaning and what's the word I want to say, not like that, just the whole purpose of like this, if you want to say, second half of the album.
Mm-hmm. I feel like if this was like a full album, around here would be like the perfect transition to the second half, because especially like the seventh song when we were kids, that's very different from the last six songs.
Yeah.
So I guess like from going from like Gone to when we were kids, at that point you're kind of like expecting the album to take its turn, like the expected turn into kind of like something different. And if it would have been a full album, they would have still been able, they would have like executed it perfectly in that transition. And while we're talking about this, I'm really curious to see if they did this, or if we could notice something like this in the Celebrate album that we listened to, because it has 9 songs. And I'm gonna go back and see if I could notice like if they did this kind of like a transition in that album as well, because it's like whenever you like discover things like this, it's kind of like, oh, I want to know where else they did it.
Yeah, definitely. Because that album's definitely grown on me a lot since we did our first episode of this mini series, and it definitely, there's a lot of songs on there that I've gone back, but like seeing this album, like it really makes me, not only just with them, but like any other artist, I want to like be able to see if I can notice these like momentum shifts in their albums, because there's a lot of great albums that I like, and I just like, it's like some of them just straight throughout they do that, but then there's others where it's like it's almost like a story being told in two parts type of way, where it's like you see a definitive like sometimes it's not even just directly like halfway through it, but like like with this song, it's like, or with this album, it's like there's just these points where you were able to notice that something changed. Maybe you didn't catch it at first, but through like re-listening, you're able to recognize that, yeah, something definitely changed. And I don't know if you have more to say on Gone, but like, or about Gone, but like these two songs perfectly set up the final song for me, and like just everything about the final song I think was like, I could see like if it was like a fuller album, but at the same time, with what we've discussed previously, I am kind of happy that it was a mini album and it was only 7 songs, because they were still able to execute it well enough that you get this outro of a song, and it just is like almost the perfect way to cap off this album because of the meaning behind it to me.
Yeah, I think I mentioned this in my survey. Like the biggest complaint I have about this mini album is just how fast it's over. Like I like from start to finish, it just kind of like it has this momentum that once it reaches when we were kids, we have like how we've been saying, it kind of like you do notice the change in like in tempo of the songs when we were kids is obviously a lot slower compared to the other ones, but it kind of feels like you're going on this journey throughout this mini album, and then after when we were kids and like nothing else plays, you're like sad. And I think when we were kids starts to build that sadness because of the meaning. This is a bit of a stretch, but the way that I see it, especially with the lyrics and like the whole meaning of the song, it kind of, you kind of, I don't know, it kind of like the whole meaning of the song is like when they say like, wanting to meet their younger selves and like basically go back in time to meet them, right? Well, at the end of when we were kids, you want to go back in time and kind of re-listen to it again because I don't know, like it's a good ending, but I just don't. I really don't want that ending. I want it to continue because it's that good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and to kind of play off what you're talking about, so I know you can kind of see like a theme of like love in this song as well, but also like because like there's some points where it's like it seems like they're talking to like another person and kind of like follows that theme of love. But to me, it was probably my favorite lyrically off the album, and I know like I haven't been with them the full journey like so many other people have. But when I heard this song the first time, the immediate thing that came to my mind was this feels like them reminiscing on when they first started out, you know. And
Definitely.
what really added to it was I think it was Chaeyoung who said it. They had like this I saw it like it was a clip on I think Instagram where like or was it YouTube? I don't remember. They were talking about this song, and I guess what really adds to it is that like recently like the news broke that when all of the members re-signed and you know renewed their contracts, they all did it without the knowledge that anyone else re-signed. Like they basically all had like the thinking of like, yeah, of course we're all gonna re-sign. Like who like they didn't think like almost in a way like they didn't there was no doubt in their mind that any of the members weren't gonna re-sign in a way, you know. But like the way she put it, she was like, this song would be a lot more sadder if they all didn't re-sign, you know. And so it kind of adds to what you were saying of like it could have ended and you don't want it to end, you know, but yet here we are able to look at this song in a bit more of a positive light and reminisce in a good way to when they first started out, because now instead of looking at the journey ending, you're able to look at how far they've made, and because they've renewed, how far they're still going to continue to go, you know. And again, I don't know a lot about their like earlier sound, but like another way you can really look at this album is because this is reminiscing, like to me it really feels like they're reminiscing to when they first started out and really observing the journey that they've made, much like they did like on Celebrate. To me, I almost in a way want to say that like from start to finish, the songs in a way give you a tour of that, you know. Because like I think you said it, like when they first started off, obviously they had like that like really like poppy sound, so like it makes sense that you get basics and talk at the beginning to kind of symbolize like the beginning of their careers, and then you get songs like Trouble, Brave, Gone, even Queen of Hearts to an extent, even though it comes before basics. It's like you it's almost in a way it's like I could be totally reaching here, but like it also like this song, the way this album, I mean, when the way it's formatted almost gives it a sense of like it's taking you on that journey of like, yeah, these songs all sound modern and stuff, but they're also giving you hints of like from the beginning to where we're at now in their journey as a group, as a K-pop group and all that. Like I don't know, that's just the whole vibe I got from it, was that like, you know, it's them reminiscing, and then this is the perfect way to close it out, because it, you know, it's that like finale, but not in a bad way, you know.
But I could definitely see that. Because it might be kind of hard to like argue for it, like song for song,
Yeah.
because of how like there's the sounds might not match or whatever. But dude, 7 years and there's 7 songs on this mini album. We're reaching, but it's there. I don't know. I definitely see what you're saying, and I don't know. That's like such a I don't know how to put it because it's not like a conclusion. Like when you were talking about it, they didn't know that they were going to renew their contracts. But after they did find out, I watched an interview in the morning where Jong Yeon sent a picture of her crying to one of the members, to Chaeyoung, with like a heartfelt message. She was very embarrassed by it, and I would be too. But you could kind of tell like they didn't. It's like they knew, but they also had like that small bit of doubt that it might not continue. So after hearing the news that everyone resigned and that they're going to continue promoting together, it kind of like alleviates those doubts, and that's what kind of you could. I don't know. It's kind of hard to say because it's very subjective. Because I could definitely feel those feelings in this song specifically. Because in the other songs, it's just kind of like, oh, these songs are lit. But when you get to the 7th song, you could feel the sadness in it. And it's not because like the tempo or like the way they're singing is sad. It's just kind of like, I don't know. How would you describe it? Like the underlying tone is very sad.
Yeah.
You could feel the sadness,
Like,
but not like in a bad way. It's like good sadness.
yeah, like if there was a way I had to put it, it's that to me, and like again, like I could just be reaching here and all that, but like with the amount of music I've listened to, I can tell you for sure that certain songs you can just tell from the sound that they hold an emotional weight to them, like they you like it's not even just the tone, but like you can just feel this emotional weight behind these songs, and that's what like really makes them so good. Like I said, like, and what makes this song so beautiful to me is like how she put it, that it could have had a totally different meaning had none of them re-signed, and renewed their contracts, or if even just only like a couple of them renewed, but like not everyone renewed, it would have still held a different meaning because it would have felt incomplete in a way. And that's why I think this song is really good, and it's one of those songs that I think a lot of people would enjoy if they gave it a chance and really looked at the lyrics, because it's something a lot of people can relate to, in the fact of reminiscing on your life and reminiscing on a lot of the people that have come and go. Obviously this song has a much more uplifting and positive meaning to the group because they all renewed, but it still holds that emotional weight because like this song perfectly, in my mind, it perfectly encapsulates their emotions probably during that time period, because the song, because of the way it can be looked at in both ways, it's probably how the members were, where they still wanted to be able to look back on their time together positively, and they wanted to have that hope in their hearts that they knew everyone was going to renew, but like you said, there was still maybe that little bit of doubt in them. And that's what this song perfectly does. Like, you feel good listening to the song, but there's also just this small sense of sadness in the heart listening to it, and it just completely adds to the meaning for me, because it's like like I said, it perfectly encapsulates probably what their emotions were during that time period. They were hopeful, but also probably still maybe preparing for the worst, in the sense of like, well, maybe if this is the end, maybe that's the end and can't change much to it. All you can do is look back at the memories you made and kind of be happy about it, but then also in a sense be sad and want to go back to the beginning to relive it all, and fully appreciate it, because how many times do we not appreciate something until it's, I know it's cliche, but like, we don't appreciate things until they're gone, or until something's fully over.
Mm-hmm. I think not like while you were talking, I thought of I think there's correct me about if I'm wrong because you probably have the lyrics up. But there's a lyric that says that if we were young, something along the lines of if we were young again, we would have loved each other more or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't remember, yeah, something like that. And it kind of does fit with what you've been saying because if they could go back from the start, it's kind of like the song has that little like those feelings of regret with it. Like if they could go from the start and know that at 7 years, it's they would have appreciated it more, or they would have done more together, so on and so forth. And you could really feel I think that's like the best way for me to describe it for myself is those feelings of regret that you feel from that song. It's kind of even if, as you were saying, if not all members we knew, only like the majority, maybe one or two decide. I want this is like a good stopping point for me. I want something else, like you see in other groups. Even if that were to happen, like everyone's gonna have that feeling of regret because they could have done so much more together when they were together. But now that they're not together, there's nothing that they could really do about it. It's just kind of like you have to get to the point of accepting reality and moving on, and that's what with like the whole like the other like part of the song was talking about wanting to basically meet their younger selves or wanting to be having that childhood innocence again and have like reliving those moments. It's kind of the same for everybody because I don't know, we're 20 now, but it's like we can never go back to our childhood. Like it's physically impossible. It's just something that we have to accept, but we still have. I guess it varies from person to person, but we still have that regret with us. We're like, oh, back then when I was like in 7th grade or 8th grade, I should have done this with my friends, or we should have done that. Blah blah blah, whatever. But everyone has those same feelings, and that's what you get from this song. You get those feelings of regret and those feelings of longing for something that you can't have anymore.
Yeah, and that's why I think this is a song that I think if a lot of people gave the chance to, and would not just look at the labels of K-pop and all that, and all that they know about, they would probably find themselves really enjoying the song, just because it's a universal message. Like I said, it's something that almost everyone can relate to. I know it varies on person to person, like you said, but this is something that like a lot of people can relate to, even if it's in like the smallest sense of like the lost connection between them and like a friend that they had. It's just something that people can definitely relate to.
Mm-hmm.
But any final thoughts as we enter the 2-minute mark, Jew?
Well, I guess we should go ahead and rank the album, or mini album, I should say. I think this is going to place very high for me. Cause
yeah, they definitely place high for me.
I don't know. I can't think of a single moment or a single low in this album. Like it's like a 9 for me, like 9.5, even a 10, maybe a 10. I mean, a 10 could be exaggerating, but like literally looking at just like each song for what they are, I cannot pinpoint a moment I was like, ooh, that could have been better, or that song wasn't as good. It's just it's like they did perfect with this one. I'm gonna give it a 9 because a 10 might be a little too much.
Not for me. I'm going to be bold and give this album a 10. You can call it recency bias, but like you said, there's no imperfections on this album for me. It joins my illustrious list of 10 out of 10 albums. It tops my current album of the year, Dawn FM, at 9.5. So it means it's currently in the lead for album of the year. But we still got about 4 more months or 3 more months at this point of music to go. But I give it a 10 out of 10. And with that being said, I want to thank you all for joining us for these 2 episodes of Culture Study. I've been your host, Jack, joined by my fellow co-host, Gio. Oh, whoops, wait, that's my fault. I meant to say my co-host, and then I didn't even let you get a chance to say it. My bad.
No, it's all good.
Yeah, but thank you all for joining for this episode, and we will hopefully catch you all next week with another K-pop review.